Welcome back to another episode of the What We're Watching podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Jenny, and today we're talking about Mean Girls, the musical movie.
I keep wanting to call it, like, you know how High School Musical, the show, it has it all in the name?
Yeah.
I keep wanting to do that with this, but it's just called Mean Girls.
Yeah, I want to call it Mean Girls, the musical, the movie.
I know. Well, we can.
I feel like they were trying to hide that it was a musical or something.
They were.
Because it's just Mean Girls 2024.
No, I think Brian sent me an interview with Tina Fey. I think it was with Tina Fey, where they explicitly said that they didn't want to market it as a musical because that is a different crowd, or they thought some people wouldn't come or something like that, which is weird to me.
But then people came and didn't know it was a musical and hated it because they hate musicals.
Right, that feels worse.
I think so.
But I guess you're choosing, like, the dollars over the reviews, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess they didn't care.
Yeah, I don't know.
Weird.
Because Wonka did the same thing. I know we're off on a tangent now, but I had no idea that Wonka was going to be a musical, like, actually no clue. Obviously, like, there are songs in the original, but I think there's, like, just the one, I think. One or two. Anyway, and I heard that people had the same feedback, so this just feels like a trend that the studios are trying to hide it, which is weird.
I just say lean into it.
Yeah. Okay, so the log line for this movie, and then we'll get into our thoughts, is new student Katie Heron gets welcomed into the top of the social food chain by an elite group of popular girls called the Plastics, ruled by the conniving queen bee, Regina George. However, when Katie makes the major misstep of falling for Regina's ex-boyfriend, she soon finds herself caught in the crosshairs.
So basically the same plot as the original movie.
Yep. Okay, what were your thoughts?
I had a really good time watching this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think I left the theater being like, yeah, that was really enjoyable. I think I give it like a 7 out of 10 for enjoyment. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I have an issue with this. Oh, I have an issue with this. Wait, I can't believe they did this. And so I kind of was ranting to Robert after the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I still liked it, but I have some qualms with it that I'm sure we'll get into. What about you?
Very similar. There were some things that really bugged me about it that we can talk about. But in general, like, I'm happy that they did it. I liked seeing, like, it was fun to see an updated take on Mean Girls and, like, all the characters. And I loved the cast. And I thought the cast was so talented. However, yeah, I just had some mixed feelings. There were some things that I wish they did differently.
Yeah.
Which I can talk about if you want. I have a couple that are, like, plot specific, but then I have a couple that are, like, more overarching.
Yeah, go for it.
The number one thing that bugged me so much watching it was the sound was a little bit off.
Wait, what?
So, like, it looked like, you know how sometimes they'll film a scene and there was, like, a background noise or the, like, mics didn't catch something right, and then an actor afterwards will have to go back in and watch themselves and, like, re-say the line to, like, match their lips. I think they did almost the entire movie like that because, like, every other scene or so, like, one of their words would be just, like, barely off of their mouth.
Oh.
And it was making me insane the whole time, which I guess it makes sense that they did that because obviously the songs were recorded separately. They were not live.
Right.
But, like, that really bugged me that it wasn't perfect.
That's just like a really small thing to notice, but that's something I would notice watching something back for the 100th time. Mm-hmm. For you to catch it in theaters is very impressive.
Thank you. I don't know why. I was just like, the sound feels so weird to me. And the other reason that I think it was is because there was, like, almost no background noise in the whole movie. I'm sure that was intentional, but, like, it just felt like fake almost, because if they were walking down the hallway singing, you weren't hearing, like, a bunch of kids walking and, like, the locker slamming and, like, that type of thing. You were just hearing the singing, and then if someone came up and talked to them. And so I was like, did they just scrap all of the original sound? And even in scenes where there should have been a lot of background noise, there would be, like, one thing or two thing or, like, a crash here, but, like, not anywhere close to what should have been the, like, natural sounds of the environment.
Huh.
And so it just felt weirdly super quiet and just music. And then also the sound was a little bit off of their mouths. And I was just, that drove me crazy the whole time.
Now I'm definitely going to notice.
What did you think about the songs overall?
I liked them. I had nothing to base it off of because I haven't seen the actual Broadway musical. So I wasn't sure what they had changed or, you know, if this was really close to the original or not. So I thought the songs were good. I'm not like a huge musical person, so sometimes I would roll my eyes and be like, okay, like, can we just get to the next scene? Which is missing the point of the movie entirely, I realized. But also I did go see it with someone who doesn't like musicals, so I was also like, oh, I hope he's enjoying it.
Yeah, you were getting secondhand embarrassment for the movie on behalf of Robert.
Have you heard of those people who don't tell their partners that it's going to be a musical, and then they go in and then the singing happens and they like record the person's reaction? Where they're like, wait, is it a musical?
That's really funny. No, I think the reason that you feel like you were waiting to get to the next scene is because Brent and I were talking about this afterwards. I don't feel like the songs were like plot moving. Like, I feel like a lot of times in musicals, because I have seen a lot of musicals and I grew up doing theater and stuff, I feel like usually there's like people talking in the songs where it's like, I say this, you say this. So it's like we're getting the conversations and the dialogue that would be happening. It's just happening via song. Or we're getting like really important revelations or something, or like time is passing. And I feel like a lot of these were like stop in the moment and hear the character's thoughts and then continue.
Yeah.
It was cute and like all the songs were like really catchy and adorable, but it just felt like, to me, it made the movie feel really choppy. And I don't know if that's because they had to cut down the number of songs to like make the time work, but it just kind of felt like we were getting song of like internal dialogue and then a couple of the iconic lines that they wanted to fit in, and then another song, and then like a scene that was there for the iconic lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like if you didn't know the original plot, it would be harder to fill in everything that was going on. But if you did, then obviously like we were able to just like watch it as a version of the original, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I think some songs I was like, oh, I kind of like that they did this instead of Katie's narration that we had in the original movie. But you're right, a lot of it just felt like an aside. Like, why did we need to go to this character all of a sudden when, like, I want to know what happens next?
Some of them were great. Like the one where they introduced the plastics, I thought was like perfect. And I feel like there was a couple of others that did do a really good job of like explaining the setting, but for the most part, it just felt like it was like Katie's internal monologue, which you're right. I totally forgot that there was her like narration in the original, and this kind of replaced that. So that was totally the point. Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like they were trying to squeeze a lot in for time.
Yeah. Yeah. And they cut half of the music, half of the songs.
Which is a lot.
Yeah. Because it's originally 21, and I think it ended up being 13 for this movie. So I'm sure they had to cut some plot points too, you know?
Yeah. I guess that is just the challenge of you're either going to have all dialogue in the original movie and then all musical in the musical. And so then trying to like bring them together obviously would make it twice as long if you tried to do all of it. So then you have to pull out half of everything, half the dialogue, half the songs to like make it fit.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why it just felt a little bit clunky.
Yeah. I don't know.
I feel like I'm coming off as such a hater. I actually really liked it. I just afterwards, like, he was thinking about it and was like, why did this feel not as good as I was expecting? Because my expectations were so high.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, it's like, it's a fan favorite cult. Is it a cult classic? No, it's just a classic, I feel like, at this point. So they had a lot to live up to. And then I just feel like they made deliberate choices to not live up to the standards that everyone had for it.
Yeah.
Or to not market it in the way that it would get to the right audience. I don't know exactly.
Yeah, the marketing is really interesting. I would love to know also if you guys have thoughts on that, because I like musicals. And so it did not bother me in the slightest. Like, if I had not known that it was going to be a musical and then showed up, I think it would have been fun. Like Wonka, I probably would have been like, oh my God, I haven't seen that. But if I had gone to the theaters, I think I would have been like, ooh, fun. But like, I know that that is not most people's reaction to a musical movie. So yeah, it is a weird choice to me.
I think just lean into it. I don't understand. I don't understand why not.
Yeah, agreed. Especially, sorry, and then we can get into the background of this movie, but like, especially when you have like a Renee Rapp leading the movie, who is so clearly musically talented, and that is now really what she's become known for. And she did this awesome song that is like blowing up. That was the credits song.
Not my fault.
Yeah. Like, why would you not? And I think maybe that came out right before the movie, but maybe it didn't. Like, put that in the trailer. Have her just be like the center of the marketing, because then people want to come to see her perform. I don't know. It just, yeah, it was weird.
They should have consulted us first, obviously.
I know. Yeah. Any studio would like to hire us. For advanced screenings and feedback, we're available. Okay, so obviously this is based on the original Mean Girls movie, which came out in 2004. I don't know why I thought it was later than that, but it was early 2000s. And that movie was written by Tina Fey. And then it became a musical, not until 2017. So there was actually a decent space between the original movie and the musical. I'm sure that's just because it takes a really long time to put together a musical. They did their original musical previews in DC, actually, before then doing previews and then being on Broadway. So that was kind of like a multi-year process. And then some fun cast shout-outs. Ashley Park, who plays the French teacher in this new movie, who is also in Only Murders in the Building and Emily in Paris. She originated the role of Gretchen on Broadway. And then Renee Rapp played Regina right before the pandemic when she was only 19. Is that right? Wow.
Yeah.
That was her first big job, which is crazy.
She's a 2000 baby, so she's 24 now.
Yeah, wow.
Wild.
Something else fun is that the musical, obviously it's been on Broadway and then it has done a tour around the US, but it's also going to the West End this year. So I know we have some UK listeners. If you guys go, please let us know how it is, because I would love to hear. I think it opens pretty soon. Also, something I learned on TikTok is that this musical is notoriously really, really hard to sing.
Huh.
So that made me feel even more sad, because I know Anne Gowrie, who plays Katie, has gotten some kind of flack for like not being as strong of a singer, possibly, as some of the other cast. Mm-hmm. Which to me, I just kind of thought was endearing and fit with her character, but like I hear what people are saying. But her songs are notoriously supposed to be super, super hard to sing, and that's like a thing in the like singing community. So that made me feel for her more, where I'm like, she's probably just like, you guys have no idea how hard these are to sing, and she's getting this feedback. So anyway.
That's interesting, but I just wonder why she wasn't directed differently. Because when I listen to the comparison, it's like, it's not so much the like skill of the songs, but it's like the personality that was inserted into some of the Broadway songs. And it's like, well, she kind of fell flat on that aspect, on like the not hamming it up, because I feel like for screen you don't want to do that as much as you would on Broadway. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's her, if it's the director's fault.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I feel like in the original movie, Katie is this like mix of like deer in headlights, endearing, doesn't know any better, but is still like a little bit shy and nerdy. And I feel like they really tried to capture that, like shy and nerdy, in this Katie. But in the musical, I feel like Katie is just like wacky.
Oh.
You know, like fun, quirky girl. I saw a couple people on TikTok saying that. And when you listen to her songs, and we'll get into this, but especially like Stupid in Love, it's a completely different arrangement. So the Broadway version of that song is very like, she just like thinks Aaron Samuels is so sexy and like is just like being so like wacky weirdo. Whereas the one in the movie, I feel like was much more toned down, almost like a ballad. And like, I feel like it pulled a lot of the personality out. And I don't know if they did that just to be different or like for Anne Gowrie's voice. Like, I don't know if they changed things to suit her voice better or to suit how she was playing the character, or because they wanted the character to be more like shy. I don't know.
That's interesting.
So I think you're right about the personality changing.
Huh. Should we talk about Anne Gowrie now?
Yes. Which, by the way, that is how you say her name. We absolutely butchered it in our original Mean Girls episode.
Yeah, in our Mean Girls episode, we previewed the musical movie because we were so excited, and we did not look up anybody's names beforehand, and we just stumbled on all of them. So we took extra effort to make sure that we pronounced them right this time, or to the best of our ability.
Yeah. First of all, she looks so much like Jenna Fisher.
I never would have thought that until Jenna Fisher played her mom in this movie, and I was like, wait a second.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, we walked out of the theater, and Brian goes, wow, the first thing I have to say is that Katie looks just like young Pam from The Office. And I was like, yeah, it makes sense why they did a really good job casting that.
Maybe that's why they cast Jenna Fisher.
Yeah, maybe. She's also Australian, so it's like super fun to hear her talk.
I had no idea because I think she usually has an American accent in movies.
Yeah, I think so. I only knew her from Spider-Man Far From Home. I think she plays like the class president, or not the class president, the like morning announcements girl.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
I forgot to until I looked it up, and I was like, that is definitely where I recognize her from. What did you know her from, if anything?
I watched this movie that's on Paramount called Honor Society, and she's like this type A kind of class president type in that movie. And her co-lead, co-star is Gaten Matarazzo, who plays Dustin in Stranger Things.
Love.
I know. And so that was like a fun movie. It's not the best movie in the world, but I thought it was a very endearing movie.
Cute. I also looked up, she's in These Final Hours, The Nice Guys, and I think she's in a couple episodes of Black Mirror.
Oh, yeah. I heard she was in the Miley Cyrus one.
Ooh.
I forgot that.
Yeah.
She also has a book podcast, fellow podcaster. It's called The Community Library.
Cute. Is it like a book review podcast? Like a book club podcast?
I don't know if she's reviewing books or if she's just talking about the impact of stories on people, but I definitely want to check it out.
That's so fun.
There's a rumor that they offered this role of Katie to Sabrina Carpenter first, but she turned it down. I'm sure she turned it down because she had so much going on this year. But this would make sense because I didn't know this. Sabrina played Katie on Broadway with Renee Rapp.
Yeah, I had no idea either.
Wild.
Like, no idea. Had never heard that. How we knew that Renee Rapp was on Broadway, but had no idea that Sabrina Carpenter, who we talk about constantly, was on with her. No clue.
No idea.
Like the pop girlies. Mean Girls just churned out the pop girlies.
I guess so.
It also is like wild to me to think about Sabrina Carpenter and Renee Rapp versus like Ashley Park, who I think is a decent bit older than them. Like seeing them on stage together, I feel like would have looked weird. Obviously, because she plays the teacher in this movie. So
yeah,
interesting. I learned this because of the video that I saw of Sabrina singing Stupid in Love is completely different than how they did in the movie. So look that up if you guys are interested because the comparison is interesting.
Cool. Let's talk about Renee Rapp. We love her. We're obsessed with her. I think we talk about her all the time. Every episode, maybe. She's like our Taylor Swift.
She is. We love her. So we already talked about the fact that she was Regina on Broadway. That was her first big job. And then she got cast in Sex Lives of College Girls, the Mindy Kaling show, which we love that show. If you guys haven't seen it and you listen to this podcast, you will love that show.
It's so good.
Yeah. But spoiler alert, she's leaving the cast. And I'm so sad because she's my favorite character. Well, I like all the girls, but she's one of my like probably top 2.
I'm going to miss her on it.
Is that on Max? I think it's on Max.
I think so.
Yeah. We should do an episode on that whenever the next season comes out because it's such a fun show. That's where I knew her from first. And so I started following her on TikTok after watching her on the show. And it was right around the time that she started sharing her original music on TikTok. And that like blew up super, super viral, blew her up on TikTok. I'm sure she was doing some of it before, but I think that's really what helped her gain the momentum to like now she's on tour, I think. Yeah. Or maybe she just finished her tour and has come out with an EP and an album, I think. And her music is great.
Mm-hmm. She's so talented.
Mm-hmm.
So when they were picking who was going to be Regina George for the movie version, they needed to be very specific about who was strong enough to play Regina. And Tina was worried that the studio was going to be like, hey, here's this TikToker who can't sing, and just throw them in the mix. She got herself ready to pitch Renee to them. And then she went to the meeting and they were like, we really want Renee Rapp. And she was like, oh, thank goodness. So she was the first choice by everyone.
That makes me happy. She did such a good job.
She also said she's had a crush on Rachel McAdams since she was a kid.
Renee Rapp has?
Yes.
Aww.
The original Regina George.
Yeah.
So I think that's cute.
That is cute.
And have you seen the criticism that she's been getting for her, quote, lack of media training?
I hadn't until I saw she posted about it. I think you sent me her post. She was like making fun of the fact that people were saying that in her caption, but I hadn't really seen it firsthand. What were people saying?
I mean, she's had a few interviews on this press tour that have just, it's been very obvious that she's just being herself, you know? And sometimes she's saying offensive things or she's calling out bus drivers that she shouldn't call out.
Perfect. I saw one clip of something, I don't know if it was like Variety. It was like they were playing a game, you know, like one of those game with the cast. And she was very like, you know, yes, just being like so casual, like so not the way you normally see celebrities in videos, like the way that she is on her TikTok, where she's just like doesn't give a flying fuck, you know, you can tell.
Yeah.
So I can see that. I could see that.
That's why we love her.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a problem. I think it's funny, and I think it's refreshing to see someone just be themselves. But I've seen some hate for sure. She was also just on SNL with Jacob Elordi, but we're recording this the day before, so we haven't seen it yet.
I'm excited to see it, though.
Yes, I'm so excited.
Yeah. Also, one last shout out for Renee Rapp. I know a lot of people don't love the Call Her Daddy podcast. A lot of people do love it. I feel like I go back and forth on like whether I listen to it, but the episode with Renee Rapp is really, really good. And it is like the most in-depth I've ever heard her speak about her growing up and her bisexuality and like how she got on Broadway to where she is now and then how she feels about sex lives of college girls and all of that. Would highly recommend.
Yeah, it's a good one. I'm actually surprised she was on that podcast so early before she was like right now. It would make sense if she went on the podcast, but that was like last year when I don't think she was as big yet, you know?
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. It must have been like when her album was coming out or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, not quite as big. I feel like we're just gonna see her continue to just skyrocket over the next year.
Yeah. Then we have Avantika Vandanapu. I love her. She plays Karen Shetty. I think the internet loves her. Like,
Loves.
Robert left the movie and was like, I love her. She did a great job as Karen.
She was Ryan's favorite too. Like she was the one that he, again, also not a musical man. Like we went because it was my birthday and he like obliged and agreed to go. But like he was dying laughing every time she said something. She was totally the comic relief throughout. She did such a good job. And she's only 18, but I was looking up her background and she did a handful of Indian movies. I think she's pretty well known there. Although, because like when I looked her name up, it was a lot of like Indian publications talking about her being in this movie and how much she's changed since the original movies, which I think is just the effect of she was a child doing like more traditional child roles to then like being in Mean Girls as like the girl with big boobs, you know? But then she was also in the Disney Channel movie Spin and Senior Year. So I think she's like kind of on the Disney Channel train. And so this is cool. I'm really happy she was in this. I feel like it'll just like hopefully blow her up to a lot of other big projects. I want to see her more.
Oh, I totally think so. I think she's the fan favorite for sure. And she said that it felt really liberating to play a role that was so different from what we typically see South Asians play in Hollywood. And she hopes that this role can inspire Indian girls, that they can play a wide variety of characters, not just the stereotypical ones, which I think was cool.
That is really cool. Okay, we have to talk about BB Wood. She was my favorite in the movie.
She was good.
Yeah, I loved Gretchen and Damien were my top two by far, like, characters.
Absolutely.
So I had never seen her before, but she's been in a handful of shows, including The New Normal, The Real O'Neills, and Love, Victor. And she's also a singer. She just put out her debut EP. So I think maybe she's trying to go a similar route as Renee Rapp. I don't know if that's even fair, but she's acting in shows and then also putting out her original music.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I saw that after Tina chose her to be Gretchen, Tina searched BB on IMDb and found out that she was in 30 Rock with her when she was 10 years old. She had already cast her. She didn't know. And then BB, of course, did not forget that she was with Tina Fey on a show.
Of course.
She said it was really special for her when she logged onto the Zoom audition and she saw Tina because Tina was her first scene partner.
Aww.
I know. And she said she logged off the Zoom after she did the scene and she called her mom and she was like, I don't even care what happens. That was just a special moment. I'm so happy that this happened.
Oh, that's really cool. That's very full circle.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Chris Briney, who plays Aaron Samuels.
Also Conrad in The Summer I Turned Pretty.
Yes.
Which we talk a lot about him in that episode and like his relationship and all of that. So go check that out if you haven't listened to it.
What did you think of him in this role?
I liked him. I thought he was good. I wish he sang.
Yeah.
Mostly just because I was curious to hear him sing. But I thought he was fine. I thought he was good. I thought he was cute. I really did not know how I was going to feel about the match of him and Renee Rapp.
Yeah.
After seeing him in The Summer I Turned Pretty, that's the only thing I've seen him in. And Belly is just like so like young and cute. And Renee Rapp gives like woman to me. And like Regina George, especially like being so overpowering of a personality, like putting the two of them together felt weird until I saw it. And then I thought it totally worked. And I like him. What did you think?
Oh, I actually liked him better than the original Aaron Samuels.
Wow.
And look, I'm not a Conrad girly. This isn't because I like Chris Briney or anything. But he had more like emotional range and more depth in this movie, I felt like. Also, it's fun to see him actually laugh and have emotions because I feel like in The Summer I Turned Pretty, he's so moody.
Very Edward Cullen.
Yes, and in this, he's just so nice and you see his eyes water sometimes and like he was just really endearing. I thought he was perfect. And I could see like, okay, if this was a real high school, I could see why he's the it boy.
Totally.
You know, he's nice. I liked him.
Me too.
He turned down the role when it required singing originally.
So they were going to have him sing. I was thinking, like, he must sing on Broadway. Like, the character must sing.
Yeah. And do you remember that awkward moment when he sings In the Summer I Turned Pretty?
No.
He's like playing guitar.
Oh my God. Yeah, I blocked it out.
It's like really long. I've seen people on the internet be like, yeah, we're glad that didn't happen.
Yeah, he was like, never again. He was like, I paid my dues. Now you're asking me to be in a movie. I will not sing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He accepted it when Aaron's singing parts were cut. And then I heard that Tina Fey was kind of testing who would be Aaron Samuels on her kids.
Interesting.
Because she wanted someone who would appeal to younger, I don't even know if they're Gen Z, Gen Alpha.
Mm-hmm.
When they saw Chris Briney, they were like, yeah, him.
Aww. Yeah, I get it.
And then we have Auli'i Cravalho,
Mm-hmm.
who was amazing in this role. She was Janice Imiike.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how you say it.
And she is Moana. She's the voice of Moana. We've talked about her before because she turned down the live action Moana. I don't know why we talked about that in a previous episode, but I know we did.
I think it was the Mean Girls one.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't unsee it when she had her big song in this movie. I heard Moana.
Mm-hmm. I know.
She was a great actress in this.
She was. She's really talented. It really made me understand also why she maybe would want to distance herself from like the Disney princess role, because this one, obviously, Janice is way more of an edgy character. And I liked to see her on something so different. It was really cool.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little bit intense, I'm not gonna lie. Like the very beginning, the first like third of the movie, she's like screaming all of her lines, and I was looking for not that because I just love Lizzie Kaplan, who was the original Janice. She's so good. And like I felt like it was a little bit more understated in the original movie. Like Janice was a little bit more like whatever and less like whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But I still loved her. And she's such a good singer.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that because she said that even though she's a huge fan of Mean Girls, she purposely didn't rewatch it in preparation for this role because she was like, I know it's going to mess me up. Like, she's going to try to act too much like the original Janice. So, yeah, she was like, okay, Tina trusts me. She picked me. I'm just going to play it how I feel.
Yeah.
And that's really why it came across differently.
Mm-hmm.
She also put up so many middle fingers in the movie that they told her she couldn't do it anymore. They would have to change their rating. They didn't want to have to go above PG-13, so that's pretty funny.
That is really funny.
And then we've got Jaquel Spivey. He plays Damien.
Loved.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like he did like the perfect job of paying homage to the original character and like being very similar because the lines are very similar, but also having a totally different take and like a new personality. I just thought he was so good.
Yeah, he was amazing. He's pretty big on Broadway, I feel like.
Cool.
Which makes sense because I just feel like he was so talented in this.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the picture of him and Danny Franzese, the original Damien?
Mm-mm.
I've been seeing it floating around, but I checked Jaquel's Instagram, and it's the last picture that he posted as of right now. It's him and Danny, and it has the cutest, sweetest caption, and it's long, but I have to read it because it made me want to cry. I'm going to try not to cry now. He said, "Thank you for being the representation that little me was craving and in desperate need of, for showing me that I could be myself and still be just as beautiful as anyone else. I can't imagine the strength it took to step into this character in a time when queerness and body positivity were not a trending topic. To stand in front of the world representing marginalized communities with such confidence and fierceness is why I will always be grateful for you. I can only pray that I will inspire someone else the way you inspired me. I love you and I love Damien. I honor you and your iconic contribution to this film with my Damien. This legacy you created has changed so many lives, especially mine. Thank you."
Aww, I love that. That's so sweet. And we talked a lot about Danny's impact on a lot of people in the Mean Girl in our first Mean Girls episode. Yeah, it's just really sweet that Jaquel was part of that group that was really affected by him, and then he got to play him. That's so cool.
And like really honored the character. I think that's awesome, and I think he totally did what he intended. And Danny left a really long, sweet response.
Cute.
Yeah, I recommend people check it out.
And that's really cute. Okay, so then we get into all of the adults, and we're not going to go deep on these guys because half of them are repeats from the original movie, and we already talked about them, and then also because we need to get to the original movie, and I really wanted to focus on the like new cast members. But shout out to Jenna Fisher, Katie's mom.
Yep.
So cute. I love that they changed the concept for her to be a single mom.
Kind of wanted more of her, to be honest.
Me too.
Yeah, she was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Busy Phillips, who plays Regina's mom. What did you think? Did you think she did a good job?
Yes, I thought she was funny, but I thought it was also like over the top in a way that Amy Poehler wasn't. Amy Poehler was over the top, like don't get me wrong. It just seemed like she was trying to be a caricature of the Amy Poehler character.
Yeah.
But I just think it's hard when characters are so iconic and they have iconic lines to then match that energy perfectly or to make it your own. I feel like it's just hard. But in general, I thought she was really funny and good at it. What did you think?
I would say, like, in a musical, it would make sense if someone was over the top.
Totally.
But she wasn't in the original musical, and she doesn't sing in this, so it didn't make as much sense, but maybe that's how she was directed. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes me wonder if there was because I thought this one, when we left the movie, too, that it did all feel quite theatrical. Like, the characters were all a little bit over the top, except for probably Katie and her mom. And so that did make me think, like, were they directed to do this like it's a musical, but just they're filming it differently? I don't know. Did you ever see In the Heights, the movie?
No, I never did. Mm-mm.
That is the most, like, comparable medium to this, I feel like, where that was a Broadway musical. Granted, it wasn't a movie before that. And they made it into a movie, and it's the same dynamic of, somewhere like the West Side Story one that also came out, of, like, serious movie dialogue plus the songs. And this one, like, in both of those other movies, I feel like the acting was, like, very typical movie acting. And in this one, sometimes I feel like it did edge on, like, stage acting, like, larger than life, over the top. So, I don't know. It was just kind of weird. And Busy Phillips was definitely that.
Yeah, agree. Amy Poehler's original character and the little cocktail weenies that they put as her nipples or whatever they did.
Yeah.
I know this is the weirdest qualm to have with the movie, but I was like, why didn't they do that? Why didn't they make that? It didn't have to be a talking point. It didn't have to be anything, like they didn't have to talk about Regina's mom's new boob job or anything like that. Just paying homage to the original character, I think would have been awesome. Or like having the chihuahua or like I don't think there was a chihuahua.
I totally agree. Yes, I was looking for the boob scene the whole time.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm so kind of surprised they didn't ask Amy Poehler to come back and do it.
Yeah, because her age is probably more appropriate than it was for Rachel McAdams. If you remember from our Mean Girls episode, Rachel McAdams and Amy Poehler are only 7 years apart, so Amy Poehler could obviously not be her mom. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that they didn't bring her back. It would have been a great cameo.
And her and Tina Fey are such good friends, so I wonder if they asked her and then they couldn't, or if Tina Fey really wanted to only keep a couple of the original people to make it different. I don't know.
I was wondering this because Tina Fey, Maya Rudolph, and Amy Poehler went to go see the movie together.
Aww,
it was really cute.
That's cute.
I know.
Then we obviously had Tina Fey as Miss Norbury and Tim Meadows as Princess Duval. Excuse me. Yeah, Principal Duval.
We've done too many princess movies.
I know. I loved that both of them came back and that they were married in this movie.
I loved
How
that.
cute. That was probably my favorite change in the whole thing.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. That's how you give a nod to the original fans in a subtle way that doesn't take any extra screen time. Is just give us something like that where we're like, oh, like in this universe, they're together. That's great.
Yeah, like something a little bit different. Loved.
And then John Hamm was Coach Carr.
Yeah.
Which I think we were trying to figure out originally. We were like, okay, but is he going to be a pedophile still? Like, that would be weird with John Hamm because we like him. But no, he's still the sex ed teacher, but that's it.
Yeah, I'm glad they took that out.
Yeah, they didn't need it.
Okay, shall we get into it?
Let's do it.
So when the movie opens, Janice and Damien are filming a music video on their phone in the garage, which I loved the use of like phones and like TikTok seemingly and stuff throughout the movie. I thought it actually I really liked it.
Cool.
I thought it kind of like filled in. First, it like made it modern, but then also later in the movie, we see like other videos and you kind of get like what the students around school are thinking. I think it does a good job of like showing the gossip when we weren't getting the background noise in the school. I also liked that Janice and Damien were the narrators of the movie. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
So they sing a song called A Cautionary Tale, and the song just kind of like sets up the whole movie. And there is a funny part in the song where Janice says somebody dies in the story, And Damien pops in to be like, nobody dies. And you just go, it's just like a funny quip to like understand Janice's darkness.
Yeah.
And then the garage door opens and we're in Africa with Katie.
This is the part that Robert looked at me and was like, oh, please no. Like, not 2 songs in a row. And I was just giggling. Like, I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
She's on her mom's research base in Kenya. She sings the song What Ifs, which is about wanting to leave her home in Kenya and see what more her life could be. And the song is intercut with her mom telling her that she's been selfish, focusing on her research, and that she ended up taking a job at Northwestern so they can move back to the U.S.
Mm-hmm. This was also interesting because I don't remember in the original movie Katie being the one that's like, I want to go to a regular high school.
No.
So I feel like this sets up the character to be very similar to what it was in the Broadway of just like a super enthusiastic, like not aware of social cues, quirky girl, which like I feel like kind of changes. Like Katie in this scene is very much that way where she's like, yes, I really want to go somewhere else and like start my life. And then we kind of see her become more of like a shy, nerdy girl when she actually gets to school.
Yeah, living on like a research base like that in a tent, kind of in isolation, I imagine that any teenage girl would start getting to a point where they're like, okay, like what else can I do next, you know?
Time to go.
But it was really cool to see because we didn't see in the original Mean Girls anything about where they lived.
Mm-hmm. And so then Katie's song continues when she gets to North Shore High School, and we can immediately tell that she does not fit in there. And she goes into one class where the teacher says to take her seat, and there's no seats left, and so she just sits on the floor. And Janice and Damien look at her. This is the first time we like see them in school. Look at her just like they feel so bad. And we'll get that back in a second when they like decide to go save her. And then we also see Madame Park's class, which is Ashley Park as the French teacher. Yeah, and there's this whole scene where she's supposed to pick a French name, and it's mostly funny because Damien is trying to pick his French name, and he lands on Beyonce, which I thought was just like so funny. And I love like we get these little tiny moments of Ashley Park just like being funny and cute and like loving that his name was Beyonce, and then being like, no, you need a new one. And then we see the classic Coach Carr's sex ed class, which I think this is the only time we really see him in the movie. We see like tiny little clips after this, but this is where they decided to move the scene to. And she gets in trouble, so he's talking about like STDs and stuff. And then she gets in trouble for leaving class to go to the bathroom. And he tells her that she needs a bathroom pass in order to leave, which is in the shape of a sperm whale. And he says, get it. Which I like cannot.
I liked that.
But he says no, he doesn't give her the pass. And so that's just kind of like a wake-up call for her to be like, oh, I'm used to being this like really independent person that doesn't have to fit into this like societal hierarchy. And now she does.
At lunch, no one opens up their table to her, very similar to the original movie. So she has to eat in the bathroom stall. Damien and Janice come in, and they're like knocking on the door, and they're like, hey, you okay? You've been in there for a while. And they befriend her. And they're actually a lot nicer, I think, in this movie than in the original.
Mm-hmm.
Janice introduces Damien as almost too gay to function.
Mm-hmm.
They go back to the cafeteria and they introduce Katie to all of the cliques in school, which is similar to the original movie, but they've changed it to make it more modern and less offensive.
Mm-hmm.
And then they warn her to avoid the plastics. And we still get some nods to the original, with Damien saying Gretchen's hair is full of secrets, and there's something about Karen not being able to spell orange, like in the original.
Then we meet Regina George.
Ugh, what an entrance.
I know. She sings Meet the Plastics. I actually loved this song. I thought it did a really good job of introducing her and them and the whole dynamic.
Me too.
Because I think this is what leads into Apex Predator. So she's singing her song, and then we get the Apex Predator song right after, where you get from Janice and Damien's perspective the plastics. So you get it kind of first from Regina's point of view, and then also from everybody else. And yeah, there's a really funny line in the Meet the Plastics song where Regina says, I'm drunk with power, this whole school humps my leg like a chihuahua.
I totally missed that in the movie, but I was looking up the lyrics afterwards. I was like, that is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Regina invites Katie to join the plastics and eat lunch with them, and we get some famous lines from the original. Then Janice uses this as an opportunity to convince Katie to infiltrate the group for her. And Katie is very sweet and nice and like doesn't want to, you can tell. She's a lot sweeter in this one than in the original.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can tell she doesn't want to. She just wants friends. And Janice is being nice-ish to her, and so she doesn't want to lose that, and she feels pressured.
Mm-hmm. Then in calculus class, they're learning limits, and Katie answers multiple math questions in a row, and Erin's like, "You're going to make the rest of us look stupid." And this is the first moment that she's seen him, and she falls for him instantly.
Mm-hmm.
She starts singing Stupid with Love, which we talked about earlier, which is about how she fell in love with a Peace Corps guy when she was 9, and she waited hours outside his tent with flowers, and then he laughed at her, which made her cry. By 13, she decided to just swear off boys and become a mathematician. And she says, "Thank you, math, because now you've brought me this cute boy." And the song just continues as Katie watches Erin throughout the school, and then they wind up outside on the school's lawn. I was laughing so much at this point because we're watching Erin, and then in the background, you just see Katie being an absolute creep.
Yes.
She's like a statue.
Yeah.
Another notable line here is, "I am filled with calculust."
Yeah, it's cute. It's a really cute song. Again, look up the Sabrina Carpenter version of this song, and you can see how it was on Broadway. And I don't even think I like one better than the other one. It just is interesting that it's so different.
Just different.
Mm-hmm. Like the one on Broadway, if I'm remembering correctly, is very like upbeat, poppy, almost like, I was going to say like Olivia Rodrigo, but it's probably more like Sabrina Carpenter, just like very upbeat, poppy, very different than this like slower version. And so when she's walking out in front of the school, she almost gets hit by a bus, which I thought was such a funny nod to like foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm.
And she's so embarrassed that her mom is at the very front of school to pick her up because her mom screams when she almost gets hit by the bus. And you can tell it's just classic teenage girl. It's just like, "You're so embarrassing, Mom."
So at lunch on Wednesday, everyone's wearing pink. Regina asks the percentage of calories from fat in her yogurt, I think, something like that. And Katie answers immediately. And Regina says, "Whatever, I'm getting cheese fries," just like in the original.
Mm-hmm.
And while she's gone, Katie tells Gretchen and Karen that she likes Aaron. And this is that whole, no, you can't like Aaron. He's off limits because he's Regina's ex. And it's like the rules of feminism. You can't date a friend's ex.
Mm-hmm. And then this is when the Apex Predator song came in. I don't know why I was thinking that it was blended earlier with the Meet the Plastics, but it's later. And so she's outside with Damien and Janice, and they start singing Apex Predator. I think this comes about because she tells them also that she likes Aaron, and she's not allowed to like Aaron. And they're like, yeah, this is why, because she's terrifying, and she's not going to be actually nice to you.
Yeah.
And you should be scared of her, basically.
Renee Rapp is very intimidating as this role.
Yeah. And we see the Gretchen-Jason dynamic in this, similar to how that dynamic existed in the original movie. So Jason is flirting with somebody else. I think Taylor Waddell is right. That's the same as it was in the original movie. And Regina gets Taylor Waddell to run away so that Gretchen can flirt with Jason. And that's kind of what's happening while Janice and Damien are singing the song. So it kind of illustrates Regina's power.
Yeah. I have to say I love what they did with the Jason-Gretchen relationship in this movie.
Me too.
I thought it was a lot better, actually.
I just think everything about Gretchen, I just loved Gretchen in this movie. For some reason, I think she got such a better background. And, like, we just understood her a little bit more, and she felt like less of a side character.
Yeah, good character development.
She felt almost like she was meant to be us in the movie. Like, other than, like, Janice and Damien being the narrators, like, I feel like we felt more for Gretchen in this movie because I feel like she wasn't mean the way that, like, she was mean. Like, all the girls were mean in the original Mean Girls. It seemed like in this version, we really just got that Regina was mean. And then Gretchen was just sort of like a follower, best friend that just wanted to be friends with her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like they did a good job making her like sympathetic to us.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, and she got a solo song, so I think that helped too.
Mm-hmm.
Then Regina drives up and tells Katie, "Get in, loser," which Renee Rapp said she was so excited to say that line because she loved how Rachel McAdams delivered it and how it was like cute, but kind of like scary. So she gave her own spin on it, and I thought she did a great job.
Mm-hmm. I heard her say in an interview she did it like in a way that was supposed to be hitting on Katie.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny.
Yeah, which is very Renee Rapp to say.
Very.
So they go to Regina's house to give Katie a pair of shoes because this girl only wears hiking boots. And they're like, "It's tragic. Like, we have a pair of shoes for you." And then we meet Regina's mom here, Busy Phillips. I honestly don't think there was like that much going on with her in this scene. Nothing iconic or quotable from this part.
Mm-mm.
we have a scene where the girls are critiquing themselves in the mirror, like in the original, and Katie says something like, I'm ugly too, when they look to her.
Yeah. So then while they're at Regina's house, Regina snaps at Gretchen for just being annoying, which was so rude. It made me so sad for Gretchen because Gretchen was not doing anything wrong. And she tells her to go get Katie's shoes from the closet. And so Gretchen goes away to go get these bright pink, huge, like stiletto high heels, which are so ridiculous. Katie follows her in to make sure that she's okay. Gretchen finds this old music box that she had given to Regina, and she opens the music box and it just has a picture of Regina in it. And that kind of made me wonder if there was originally a picture of both of them.
Oh.
And Regina like cut Gretchen out and it was just her. And Gretchen sings this really sad song called What's Wrong With Me, which is about just like her being insecure and how much she wants Regina's approval and like how she must be doing things wrong all the time. And her mom used to tell her that she was pretty and she used to be confident and now she's not. And she doesn't believe that because of Regina, which was really sad. But also Katie is just standing there. So it's kind of weird. But I thought it was a really good act. This one I thought was really good insight into Gretchen.
Yeah, I think so too, because I don't think we really got that in the original.
Mm-mm.
And then Regina's mom finds the girls' old burn book, which is a book with mean comments about all the other girls in school. And Janice is in it, and it says that she's a pyro-les. And Regina says that they used to be friends in middle school, but Janice got obsessed with her, and when Regina started dating a boy named Kyle, Janice lit her backpack on fire. And Katie makes a comment because Damien is in the background of the photo. She makes a comment about Damien being almost too gay to function, and they put it in the book. And Katie like immediately realizes she said something wrong and she tries to backtrack, but they already put it in the book.
And so then the next day at school, Katie is reporting back to Janice and Damien and tells them about the burn book. And Janice is like, oh my God, what did it say about me? And Katie, very socially aware in this moment, says that Janice just isn't in it.
Yeah. Is this also when she's got the pink heels on at school? Like she's wearing a flannel shirt.
Yes.
And like cargo pants or something. And then the pink high
pink heels. Oh, yeah, I think she like wears them in class and Erin is like, nice shoes. She said, thanks, Regina got them for me. And I think Erin is just like, oh, I didn't know you guys were friends.
Yeah. So Katie tells Janice and Damien about all the ways she's trying and failing to have conversations with Erin in class. And we get some good old nods to the original, like the October 3rd line and the gruel line. And I saw in an interview, Ann Gowrie said that it's really hard to say October 3rd in an American accent because of all the R's. And so she said she was so excited to say that line, but then when it came to actually say it, she was like, that was actually really hard to say.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that is funny.
And then Katie says that she realized she could intentionally fail math to get closer to Erin, which Janice definitely doesn't approve of.
Mm-hmm.
Erin invites Katie to a Halloween party.
This is Karen's time to shine.
Oh my gosh.
Movie.
What a moment.
Karen records this video about wishing that Halloween was every day and that there was world peace. She's saying, like, there's only two things in the world that I would want. World peace and that every day is Halloween. And then she, like, the whole song is just about her dressing up in sexy outfits. And, like, that's what she wants, is she just wants to be whatever she wants to be and sexy.
Mm-hmm. It was really funny. Mm-hmm. One of the outfits that she was wearing in that scene was the original Regina George outfit with the purple bra showing through the holes in the boobs.
Yeah.
And I loved that. I thought that was such a great little Easter egg.
Yeah.
Oh, during this song, there's also some social media stuff going on. This is where they have, like, other people, I think actual influencers. And then there's a Megan Thee Stallion cameo. And she's on the soundtrack with Renee singing Not My Fault.
Oh, I did not realize that.
Yeah, she's in this movie twice.
Cool.
So there's a little cameo where she's talking about Halloween or getting dressed or something like that.
And so Katie shows up in a scary costume, the same scary costume that she wore in the original, which this is so heinous. It's such a heinous costume of all the scary things to be. But Aaron, like the original, seems to like it. He likes that Katie is different. Then later on, Katie is talking to Gretchen. And while Katie is talking to Gretchen, Gretchen is texting Regina. And Regina's like, is that Katie? Like, who invited her? And Gretchen says, oh, Aaron invited her. Katie likes him. Which I was like, Gretchen, what the fuck? Like, just outright types it after, like, yelling at Katie that she could never tell Regina.
It was so in character to me.
Oh, you thought?
Yeah, I actually didn't love the social media stuff. I thought that it's going to just age poorly, and I think it's annoying when movies do that, especially like high school movies where it's always like something going viral or something. But the technology piece that I did really like was them texting, like Gretchen texting while they're talking and being catty. I thought that was awesome.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. The texting while they're talking, I thought, yeah, you're right. It's very like in character. And so then Regina comes up to Katie and says that she'll talk to Aaron for her. And Katie totally buys it, same as in the original movie. And so then Regina goes up to Aaron and says that Katie has a crush on him. And he is just like, oh, really? Same as the original. Like, he's into it, obviously. And then Regina is obviously jealous and upset. And so she, like, sort of freaks out and storms off. And he follows her. And then we go to this song called Someone Gets Hurt, which I thought was really cool, the way they did this song. What did you think?
Yeah, I really liked it. It was like this dance number with everyone kind of frozen and the lights were off, but there was like flashing. It was really cool.
Giving Euphoria.
Absolutely.
Like Euphoria house party kind of vibes to me, plus musical.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. Something I did not love about this scene, though, is I feel like in the original, we got a good conversation from Regina and Aaron where we really understood, like, I think Regina said in the original conversation, she's like so obsessed with you. She's like writing your name all over her notebooks and stuff. Like, she threw Katie under the bus to make Aaron not like her and think that she was weird. And I don't think that happened in this one. Like, all we got was Katie likes you. He was into it. And then she freaked out and he went after her. And I thought that was kind of like a weird switch for Aaron.
Yeah.
But I liked the song.
Yeah, I was looking into the lyrics because I was like, well, maybe it's like something deeper in the song that I just wasn't getting. And the song is about how her cold act is a performance and her thinking that Aaron could see through that. And she says something like, if you're going to go and choose Katie, you should just go ahead, or at least alludes to that in the song. So I don't know. I was trying to imagine what their conversation might actually be. And so maybe there's a vulnerability there or something that he knows about her that I don't know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That being the point of the song makes sense, actually. I feel like maybe I lost the lyrics in watching just like the cool aesthetic of the song.
Her outfit was
incredible.
amazing.
And her hair.
Yeah, she was like this feathered angel instead of the bunny in the original. And I thought it was a really, really good update because there's no way she would dress as a bunny now. She's too cool. So I liked that.
Yeah, me too. Aaron and Regina kiss, and Katie is horrified, obviously. And it's just super sad. And then we cut over to Janice and Damien, who they're watching a scary movie in their garage. And Katie bursts in, and it's so funny because it's a really scary part of the movie. And then she comes in this horrifying costume, and they like throw popcorn everywhere and freak out, just like in the original.
I don't know if you remember in the original, but the popcorn goes everywhere. And then it immediately is back in the popcorn bowl.
Oh, I never caught that.
Yeah, it's like a super famous blooper. Like, I feel like whenever I think of movie bloopers, that's the one I think of. And I feel like they purposely redid this scene to like fix that blooper and be like, yeah, we know we messed up last time.
Yeah.
Because in this one, the popcorn really does spill everywhere and stay out of the bowl. So yeah, I feel like it was a nod to their first mistake. It was really cute.
That's so interesting. Oh, and then I love this scene. This is possibly my favorite scene of the whole movie, where I forget how they get into this. I think Katie ends up telling Janice what was in the burn book about her, says that she's a pyro-les, or said something about her lighting Regina's backpack on fire because she got a boyfriend. And Damien is like, no, like, will not let that narrative stand. And so then he pulls out these little dolls and like reenacts the whole story of Janice and Regina's relationship. And I thought it was so cute and well done. What did you think of it?
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was cute. It's the biggest change from the original, or one of the biggest changes. I think it was interesting. Damien explains how Janice came out to Regina in middle school by giving her this stuffed animal that had a rainbow tag on it. And then Regina went and just outed her to everyone with it and made fun of her. And so Janice lit the stuffed animal on fire with a Bunsen burner and got Regina's backpack along with it. And that's how she got the nickname Pyro-Les.
So then when Katie learns that this is actually what happened, she agrees to be on board to ruin Regina's reputation. I think partially because she's so mad about the Aaron thing, and then also hearing this, She's like, everyone is right. Like, Regina is not nice. And so that's when we get Janice and Damien's song Revenge Party, where we see this like Taylor Swift lover me music video-esque, like pastel high school hallway fantasy number, which I thought was so out of place. And I kind of liked it and I kind of hated it. What did you think?
You saying that it's like the Me video or like Taylor Swift Lover, I feel like they went to that for inspiration, actually.
It was giving that for sure.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I also don't like seeing Janice in bright colors. I feel like it's just not in her character, even in a fantasy sequence. So, it was okay.
Yeah. Like they were already in Janice and Damien's like garage where they do their band thing. I'm like, we could have gotten like a rock version of that there without it being like Revenge Party, la 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 la. Like it just was giving like Care Bears and I did not like it.
Yeah, it could have been more emo. I would have liked that more, I think. In this sequence, Katie is dreaming that she'll get to be with Aaron if Regina's out of the picture.
Yep.
So they start their plan to sabotage Regina, and when she's on homecoming court, they spray her with water, but this ends up backfiring because she's just so hot and like her mascara's running and she's all wet. And then every girl in school copies the mascara look. So that failed.
I liked this version of the everyone copying Regina.
I do too, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool update. And so then part 2 to their plan is Katie tricks Regina into eating calcium bars to lose weight, which this is what Katie's mom used in Africa to help elderly people gain weight. So it's kind of like doing the opposite. And they also swap her face cream with lard.
Which I thought made more sense than the making her face smell like a foot in the original.
Yeah. And all the while, we kind of just see Regina dangling Aaron in front of Katie. And so we get this scene in the hallway, which is the same as the original, where Regina tells Katie to tell Aaron that his hair looks sexy pushed back. And you can tell that there's still something there with Aaron and Katie, because when Katie says it, Aaron's like, you could tell he like takes it as a real compliment.
Boys.
Yeah. And then they like make out in front of her in the hallway, and it's just mean.
Which just leads Katie to go completely unhinged, and she buys a candy cane gram for herself and makes it from Regina, so that when Damien delivers it, does the whole "you go Glen Coco, none for Gretchen Wiener" scene, then Gretchen thinks Katie is Regina's new best friend, and that really breaks her.
And because it breaks her, Gretchen has this just full breakdown and tells Katie all of Regina's secrets, including the fact that she's cheating on Aaron with Shane Omen and that they hook up in like the janitor closet every week or something like that. And so then Katie immediately goes to Aaron and tells him.
Which is a big departure from the original, because I feel like a lot of the movie, they were just trying to guide him to the place where Regina was hooking up with Shane Omen. But in this one, she's just like, hey, Regina's cheating on you.
And then he goes to the closet, opens the door, and sure enough, Regina's cheating on him. There's no Coach Carr with the teenager.
Thankfully.
And so then Katie thinks that this is just going to be the door opening to her and Aaron's relationship. But Aaron is obviously really upset about the news and the breakup. And so in calculus, Katie asks Aaron if he'll tutor her, but he says he's busy and just kind of shuts her down. And then as she's walking out of class, Miss Norbury, Tina Fey, talks to Katie about her failing grades and tells her that it's weird because all of her work is correct, but the answers are wrong. And this is also where Miss Norbury tells Katie that she's a pusher and she's going to push her. And this just like sets Katie off. And she rants about it to the plastics and they say, put it in the book, honey. And she puts it in the burn book. And a lot of this is very much the same as the original movie.
She puts that she's a drug pusher. And in this same scene, we see the unraveling of Regina a little bit. She's upset about this giant zit that she has on her face. Her body is changing, and Aaron broke up with her. So she's just not in a good space.
Yep. And then we get to the winter talent show. The first part of the talent show is Damien singing the iCarly theme song in French.
Did you catch that before?
No.
Okay, I was watching it, and he's like, leave it all to me. Leave it all to me. And I was reading the subtitles, and I was like, this is iCarly, because I'm an iCarly girl. The amount of hours that I watched iCarly as a kid and teenager is too many, so I knew it.
That's amazing. No, I didn't know until, I think it's Principal Duval afterwards says like, and that was Damien singing the iCarly theme song in French. Thank you. And I just thought it was so funny.
I also loved that it was for like extra credit.
I know.
And it makes sense, too, because it's Paramount and the iCarly reboot was on Paramount. But I think it got canceled. I don't think they continued it. I don't know.
And then Kevin G does his original rap song. I love Kevin G in this version.
Oh my
I love him in the
gosh.
original version too, but he's so funny in this version. Like there's a part, I can't remember if we're to this yet, but they do a reference to Fetch with Kevin G and his friends, where someone in his little like posse of math nerds says something and they're like, stop trying to make that happen, as if it's the Fetch thing.
Yeah.
And then Kevin G is like, God, Peter, hop off my dick or something. And I just like died laughing because it was one of the only like new jokes.
For him, yeah.
Yes, I just loved his character.
Yeah, I love that they kept him pretty much the same. His rap song is the same. And I think when you go and you change so many characters, it's kind of nice to have a couple staple characters that are the exact same as the original. It just kind of grounds us a little bit. So the Plastics are going to do their annual dance that they do at the Winter Talent Show. Instead of Jingle Bell Rock, it's Jingle Around the Pole. And they're not actually singing, funnily enough, for a musical. They're not singing this like they do in the original. They are just dancing. And Regina has that zit still. She's uncomfortable with her new weight, and she keeps refusing to practice. She snaps at Gretchen every time Gretchen's like, maybe we should practice.
Yeah, Gretchen says, maybe just the acrobatic part. And that's when I was like, oh no, this is going to be so bad.
And during the dance, there's this like cartwheel scene, and Regina falls. And it's very embarrassing. Also, I don't know if now is the time to bring it up, but I just feel like it's very weird that they changed and modernized so many things in this movie. They changed a ton of jokes to try and make them less offensive and to try not to like slut shame too much. They paid extra attention to detail here. And then like they kept this whole weight gain, fat shaming part from the original. And I thought that was kind of weird because of all of the things that they changed. Why not this?
I totally agree. I was certain that they were going to change that to be something else. And I don't know why they didn't, because it seems weird. And like, there's also a line in one of Regina's songs about her like never weighing over a certain amount of weight. Like she's like, and I never weigh more than 120 pounds or something. I can't remember if it was in the movie, but it was definitely in the musical. And I'm like, I was just surprised. I was surprised that they kept this through line.
Me too. And if they hadn't changed a lot of the movie, I wouldn't have even thought about it. But because they changed so much, I was like, I don't really understand. And if you listen to Renee Rapp's Call Her Daddy interview, I think that's where she talks about it. She struggled a lot with body image when she was on Broadway for this. So first of all, I'm surprised she even came back, to be honest. It was a hard experience for her. And I'm surprised that they kept this whole plot line.
Yeah, because a lot of what she was struggling with is a lot of people were calling her like a curvy Regina George. And like, how does it feel to be a curvy woman on Broadway or a curvy woman playing Regina George? And she was 19. And yeah, that just is
It's gross.
Yeah, it just sucks. Like, not that being called curvy necessarily sucks. I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying like the way that they were objectifying her as such a young person to then also make a lot of Regina's character be about her gaining weight and being uncomfortable feels weird.
Yeah.
Especially like, yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, like the fact that the acrobatics didn't work.
Because of her weight.
Yes. And then she just got fucking destroyed for the rest of the movie and that was her downfall. Sucks. That sucks.
Yeah.
I kind of get the funniness of like Gretchen. I think Gretchen says like, we made this up when we were like 10 and like we've all changed. And like that is funny. But like the fact that it's because of the weight thing, don't love that.
Exactly.
Like I wish they had found a way to make it because like they were too tall or they all like ran together or like somebody got the timing wrong or something. And it wasn't like Regina doing an upside down or doing like a handstand on somebody and then falling because she was too heavy. That sucks.
Yeah.
And so then we see another one of these social media montage things where we see all of these viral videos of people making fun of Regina for falling and doing the Regina challenge where they do the same acro move and fall. And a lot of people also are saying nice things about Katie. They're like, the new girl totally saved the routine. Like, look at her smiling in the background when Regina falls and all of this. And so this is where we see like the shift of Regina's downfall and Katie becoming the new Queen Bee.
And in this scene, this is Megan Thee Stallion's other cameo. She says about Katie, Y2K fire crotch is back. Have you heard this? This is all over the news that Lindsay Lohan is offended by this.
Yes.
Specifically, her rep said she's very hurt and disappointed by this joke. Also, her dad has come out and said that he's upset about it. They think that this is a nod to the 2006 paparazzi video where Brandon Davis, who is Ashley Benson's husband, referred to her as a fire crotch. Also, in our Pretty Little Liars episode, we were like, who is Brandon Davis? And now the only thing I know about him is he called her fire crotch.
Yeah, me too.
Do we think this was intentional? What do we think?
I don't know. I mean, it feels like it must be because it feels so pointed. Like it's supposed to be a callback that was supposed to be funny and it just didn't work. But also, like, you have red hair. I was going to say, I have several redhead friends. And, like, I absolutely called my best friend Abby a fire crotch as a joke in high school. And I remember it being so funny. And I wonder if it was funny to her. I remember it being funny for all of us, but I'm not the redhead. And so I thought that was just like a weird thing that people said. But did it come from this? Like, is he the first one that ever said that? And then it became this like thing? I don't know.
If so, then that would make sense. But yeah, I just thought it was like a very sensitive take on it. Because first of all, I wasn't thinking of Lindsay Lohan.
No, I did not. None of this occurred to me until afterwards I saw online that she was upset about it.
Almost, I think, speaking up about being upset about it then brought it back. Like, helped people see the Brandon Davis fire crotch thing originally.
Yeah.
I don't know. And as a redhead, I've never been offended by that. But I've also never been, like, really bullied and called fire crotch.
In a negative way. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I know enough about it. I think if I had been an adult in 2006 and like saw it in People magazine or wherever, if it was like everywhere at the time, then I would get it more. Like I think I would get more where it was coming from. But because I didn't, it just feels like, why not just take this opportunity? Because I loved her in this. I loved that she came back. She's the only one of the plastics that came back. And it just seemed like so sweet. It has put me off on like seeing all the Lindsay Lohan movies. I have now watched, I guess 2, but I've seen Freaky Friday and The Parent Trap since watching this a few days ago. It just reminded me how much I love her. So like it makes me a little bit bummed that now there's all of this like negative reaction from her and she feels now like she doesn't like the movie and she's disappointed and I don't know. Yeah, it's just a bummer. It seems like a weird PR move.
Absolutely. People on TikTok are defending Lindsay and they're like, oh, Tina Fey is a mean girl. Like, how dare the movie slander Lindsay Lohan? We love her. But I'm like, Lindsay Lohan got paid $500,000 for this movie, for her tiny little cameo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel sorry for her. I know that's a hot take. I don't even know if necessarily the joke was intended to reference this.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a bad joke. I think they could have written something funnier.
Mm-hmm.
But she just called more attention to herself for it. But this isn't the first time that Lindsay has gotten upset thinking something was about her when it wasn't.
Mm.
In Grand Theft Auto, there was a character in a red bikini who was blonde. And there's a photo of Lindsay in a red bikini that's very similar in that pose. And so she was like, this character was based on me. And she sued them.
Huh.
And she lost. If you look at the character looks nothing like her. It's very odd that she would even think that that was based on her likeness.
Weird.
So she lost, and then she tried to sue them again, and she lost again. That just makes me think, are you just sensitive? I love Lindsay Lohan, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't think there should have been any jokes that could have possibly been making fun of her.
Mm-hmm. I hope Tina Fey says something, or I hope somebody from the movie says something, because I would be curious. I mean, if it actually is about her, they should not say anything. But if it wasn't, I would be curious. Because, like, that was a term that I knew unrelated to this incident at all.
From the 2000s.
From the 2000s.
Y2K fire crotch was from the 2000s. It was a thing that people said.
Yeah. And it was said in a way to be like, we love Katie. So, I don't know.
Anyway, we can move on now, but I just thought that was an interesting topic that people are talking about, and I haven't seen the side that people are like,
Also, sorry, maybe this is not like okay to say, but it's giving Taylor Swift a little bit where it's just like no one can ever say anything that might be related to me that's negative, when it's just like, for the most part, people are just saying great things about Lindsay in the movie and like how happy we are to have her back and how, you know, like we're so excited that she just had a baby and all this stuff. Like there's so much public support for her right now.
I don't know. I wouldn't be upset. I'd be like, haha. But I didn't experience the paparazzi incident. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Totally.
Back to the movie. After that aside. At lunch, Regina shows up and she's in sweatpants. And the plastics tell her that she can't sit with them because she's breaking their sweatpants rule. And then everyone makes fun of Regina and records her as she walks away.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the moment where, like, Katie, Gretchen, and Karen kind of look to her to make the final call, whether or not Regina can sit with them. And so now she's in her, like, Queen Bee era. And she's like, I'm sorry, you can't sit with us.
And so then Janice invites Katie to her art show. But then Katie remembers that she has to travel with her mom to see a show. I think they're like going to another city to see like a Broadway show or something, or go to a museum. I don't know. They have some like event. And we also see Katie's like plasticness coming through, because as she's saying this to Janice, she's like sitting in her chair in like a cropped shirt and putting this like elf lip oil on. And you can tell just like the attention is getting to her, and she like doesn't mind that she's going to miss Janice's art show. But then when she's talking to Gretchen and Karen about this later, because they're like, what are we going to do this weekend? Because they need somebody to follow. Katie is like, oh, I'm going to the show. But then Gretchen is like, or you could not go. And then when your mom's out of town, you can have people over and you can invite Aaron. And this like clicks in Katie's head of like, yes, I can invite Aaron. And so she has having like a teenage girl meltdown at home to her mom, saying that she needs to stay because she needs to go to her friend's art show. And her mom reluctantly agrees.
And so then when her mom leaves, she throws the party. And at the party, she drunkenly admits to Aaron that she's been deliberately failing math to get closer to him. And Aaron tells Katie that she's Regina's clone, and he storms out because he's mad that she's been lying to him about this. And then we cut to Regina, who is in the dark. I think she's in her basement, probably. And she's running on the treadmill. And she's obviously been at it for a really long time because her mom asks her, like, if she's still running. I just feel so bad for her in this moment. And I think a lot of people could probably relate to this. Regina's mom tries to comfort her, and she tells her what matters is that she has a pretty face, which does not help. And then she sees Regina's Caltine bars, and she asks her why she has those, because they use them to help some elderly relative, like a grandparent or something, gain weight. And Regina rips out her AirPods, and she does the classic chocolate-toothed scream because she realizes that Katie has betrayed her.
Yeah, I actually thought it was so funny when Busy Phillips said, at least you have your face, or whatever she says, because I thought she was going to say, like, what really matters is the inside, but I think she says, what really matters is just your face.
Yeah. I think it was nice. We kind of got more insight into what goes on in Regina's head, I feel like, in this movie.
Yeah.
Her experience with her mom and stuff, because her mom is kind of self-centered.
Yeah.
So then Katie follows Aaron out of the party, and she's confronted by Janice, who's upset that she didn't come to her art show and threw a party without inviting Janice and Damien. And it's very similar to the original movie. Katie accuses Janice of being obsessed with her, and Janice responds that Katie has become fully plastic, and she renounces their friendship. And she gives her the art piece from the show, and it's a picture of Katie, Janice, and Damien, but it's embroidered, because in this movie, Janice has this whole style where she sews on top of her drawings.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was very cool, actually. Damien is driving a motorized wheelchair instead of a car, like in the original. And he still has a curfew, and he's still yelling at Janice that they gotta go. And she rides on the back of it.
Yeah, I thought this was so funny.
And then Regina sings World Burn, a song that has many insults from the burn book in it. And then she adds herself into the burn book as a fugly cow instead of a fugly slut, which I thought that was weird that they changed it. And again, with the body shaming.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, if you didn't want to slut shame, then why are you body shaming? I don't get it. Anyway, she drops the burn book in the school hallway, which I think makes sense that she didn't just photocopy it, because who's going to use a photocopier nowadays? So that was a great change. And when it's discovered, it starts getting shared all over social media. A riot breaks out. And then I have a quote to run by you that really bothered me. And I don't know if this was like just me, but this encapsulates how I feel about like a lot of the jokes in the movie. Principal Duval says something like, "Oh, hell no, I did not go to graduate school for this." And he busts the fire alarm and has all the junior girls go to the gym, just like in the original movie. I understand why they changed the joke. In the original movie, it's, "I did not leave Southside for this," or something like that. I understand why they changed it. However, I don't think "I did not go to graduate school for this" is a funny joke. I think they probably could have written something way funnier, because they have the staff to do that. And I'm like, if you're gonna make a nod to the original, why are you just changing the line a little bit instead of writing an actual funny joke?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think I did not even pick up that a lot of these lines were even changed, because they were so similar to the original. Like the punchline obviously is totally different, but like a lot of the words in a lot of these jokes are the same. And so I didn't laugh as much because it didn't feel like a new joke. I was just like, oh yeah, that's what they said in the original. It wasn't, but like, you know what I'm saying? It was like similar enough.
Yeah.
And that's why like the Kevin G joke made me laugh so hard because it like threw me off. I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
And I wish there was more of that.
I agree. It's like when they were just changing the words by a little bit to make them more palatable, I guess. I just was like, why didn't you just, like, that's so lazy. Why didn't you just rewrite the whole joke or not include it and do something different? I don't know. So that was my issue throughout the whole movie, but this line specifically was the one that triggered me.
Yeah, totally. I could see that.
So Miss Norbury takes over after a girl talks about having a wide-set vagina and using super tampons. Just like in the original movie, Principal Duval is like, never mind. Then Miss Norbury has the girls apologize and do trust falls. And Janice speaks out and reveals the whole plan to take revenge on Regina. She sings I'd Rather Be Me throughout the school. She leaves the school and all the junior girls are behind her on the lawn. And then we see from afar Regina confronting Katie and she gets hit by a bus.
Oof.
Yeah.
Sorry if you guys can hear my puppy. She's awake now. So we find out that Regina died for 15 seconds, which I don't remember that being a point from the original.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. And we see Katie go to Regina's house to bring her flowers, but then she chickens out and just leaves them like in the pile of everyone else's flowers at the front door, which I was kind of bummed about. I would have loved to see them actually talk.
Same. Like in the original, she does.
Mm-hmm. So then we see the next day in class, Katie takes full responsibility for the book. I think Mr. Duval comes into the classroom similar to the first movie, and Katie just says, it was me, like out of nowhere. I did it. Mm-hmm. She totally owns up to it and walks out. And I think this is the part maybe, or maybe this is in like the next day, but Miss Norbury says to Katie, like, you didn't do that on your own. And she said, yeah, I'm trying to do this thing where I don't talk about other people. And I think she says like, good for you. Or maybe Aaron says, good for you.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit after she gets suspended.
Okay.
So she's suspended for 3 weeks. Now the internet hates her, just like they hated Regina. They turned on her. And she wants to be homeschooled again, which I thought was cute.
Yeah.
Her mom is actually really sweet and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
She's not grounded like she was in the original.
Yeah. And her mom says something like, you're learning things that I don't know how to teach. And she means like all the social aspects that you never got to learn, you're learning now. And so she's just sort of gently being like, no, you should go back and you should apologize and you should work it out.
I love that.
And then Miss Norbury offers Katie a way to earn extra credit by joining the mathletes at the state championship, just like in the original. And while they're at the championship competition, Lindsay Lohan is the moderator of the contest. And I just thought that was really cute that they brought her in to do that. It was like the perfect amount of having her back in the movie.
Totally. She did great, too. And then everyone else is getting ready for the dance. Janice takes a girl who I don't think we've seen throughout the movie, or if we did, she was like a side character. And she wears a purple suit like in the original. And Regina's in a huge neck/back brace. Her mom is making all of the photos about herself, and she's like jumping into the pictures with Shane Omen. And I feel really bad for Regina there.
Yeah, there was this weird through line of Busy Phillips being into the high school boys.
You're right.
Which, like, I thought was really weird.
I did not like that.
Yeah, I thought it was really weird.
During the mathletes competition, Katie is up against the girl on the other team for the tiebreaker. And she tries to tell the girl that they aren't competition. I think this is what they did in place of the narration in the original, where she's just realizing, oh, wait, me making fun of this girl is not going to get me anywhere. And so she tries to tell the girl that they aren't competition. The girl gets the answer wrong, and Katie sings as she tries to remember what happened in math when she was distracted by Aaron. Then she remembers the answer, and she answers that the limit does not exist, and she wins the championship for her team.
And so then the group of mathletes and Miss Norbury go to the spring fling after the contest, just like they do in the original.
And in the bathroom, she runs into Regina, and Katie apologizes to her, and Regina says it's not her fault, I think. And she's really high on pain medication, and she says she knows that she needs to change and that she actually likes Katie.
I loved this part. I loved that they added this.
Me too.
And I thought the fact that she was on the pain meds made it so funny, too. So it was like a really good mix of like change and like an added joke.
Totally. Agree.
And Katie wins Spring Fling Queen. And as she wins, she sings I See Stars.
And she snaps the plastic crown when she realizes that the title isn't worth it. and she gives the pieces of the crown to the other girls. Katie apologizes to Janice and Damien, who accept her back as their friend, and Damien dances with a guy that he's been making eyes at since the beginning of the movie, which I thought was really great. I actually wish they had done that for Janice's character too, and maybe they did, but I missed it.
Oh, you mean like seeing the girl that Janice went with earlier? I feel
Yeah.
like I had recognized her, but not in a way that we had really seen her. Like I think she'd been in the dance, like a couple dance numbers. That was it.
Not like Damien and his crush. We kind of knew that they were going to be a thing.
Right.
And then Katie and Aaron make up. They say gruel and they make out. It's very cute. And then it ends on Damien and Janice talking again about the story, and they're wrapping it up. And I think this is the part where they're sitting at a table and they have a little nameplate that says narrators on it. So now we officially kind of know that they were the narrators the whole time.
Yep.
Then the end credits roll and they're really cute. There are dancing scenes at Spring Fling. I think we see Gretchen dancing with Kevin G.
We do, yeah.
Yay. So I love that they got a happy ending since Janice is no longer with Kevin G.
Yeah.
I think that was a good replacement. And I don't know if we saw specific endings for the other characters.
No, I think it was just like a fun dance scene to just kind of give you the vibes that everything worked out.
Yeah.
And then there was an after credit scene. I did not stay for this. I did not know there was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, hack for anybody who goes to the movies. Google after credit scene and then the name of the movie. I do that every time to see if I need to stay or not, and I do that when the credits are rolling.
That's so smart. I feel like I only ever do that for like the Marvel movies where I'm like, are there two? Like, do I need to stay extra? But
Yeah.
I did not even think to do it for this one.
The after credit scene was kind of disappointing. It was Regina turning around to the camera and saying, "You could be hot if you like changed everything," or something like that. And she starts to walk to the camera like she's going to give you a makeover. And this was in the trailer, so
Oh,
I was pretty annoyed.
yeah. Spoiler.
Yeah, I've already seen this end credit scene that just totally ruined it for me,
Huh.
but that's okay. So that's the end of the movie.
Yay. I did really like it. I feel like as much as we had so much feedback, that was I feel like inevitable because you're comparing it to something before.
Yeah.
But I liked the updates. I really loved the cast. I thought everybody was so good. And I'll probably watch it again when it comes out on streaming.
Me too. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. I didn't love the costumes.
Yeah.
I don't think that Katie's plastic transformation was as believable as it was in the original. I think Anne Gowrie is just too sweet.
Agreed.
So I wish we had seen her get a little more plastic, but that's okay. It's a musical.
Mm-hmm.
It makes sense.
Yeah. If you guys haven't seen it, I guess you just listened to all of this so you know everything that's going to happen. But I was going to say, like, if you go into it with the mindset that it's going to be more theatrical and a little bit lighter and fluffier, then I think you'll have a better time.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I'm glad we saw it.
I'm glad we saw it too. Worth it in theaters. And we said this when we did our Mean Girls episode, because it was only supposed to come out on Paramount Plus. We said, I hope they do it in theaters because they saw the success of Barbie and the Eras tour. And then they did it. And I'm glad.
Yeah, we predicted correctly. See, this is why they should consult us.
I know. We're smart, Paramount.
Hire us.
Well, thank you guys for listening. If you like this episode, please give us 5-star rating and a good review. It helps us out a lot. We really appreciate all of you guys and all of your interactions with us on social media. It's been so fun.
Yes, it's awesome. You guys are awesome.
We'll talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.